Guys, we are on chapter 5, day 6. This is technically still part of 5.4 with the standard form stuff. So right now, just wanting to go over expectations. You need to make sure that you are watching the full video. You need to make sure that you're pausing if you have any questions and trying to find those answers. You need to make sure that you are pausing if you need to catch up writing things down in your notes. You need to be taking notes. And then you also need to make sure that you're rewinding if you have any clarifications that you need to go back and look at. So your warm-up today is just any questions from yesterday's homework. So that's the stuff that we did in class on Friday. So if you have any questions about that, shoot me an email and let me know. So our learning goal today is being able to take an equation and write it in standard form. And then also, guys, the contrary is being able, also, I'm going to add this one, I can graph an equation in standard form. So that's also important. And we'll learn how to do that today. So just a real little reminders to what standard form is. Standard form is this ax plus by equals c stuff. And we learned yesterday that a, b, and c are all integers. A and b cannot be 0. A has to be positive, and there cannot be any fractions or decimal. These are the hardest ones to remember. Okay. Woo, a little fast. Sorry about that. Back up. Okay. First example. So it should look like this. So we have 2x minus 3y equals 6. So if we wanted to graph this, we have two different options. We could take our 2x minus 3y equals 6 and put it into slope-intercept form, and we definitely know how to graph that. So let's go ahead and look at that first. You could take 2x minus 3y equals 6, and we want to get it to slope-intercept, which is y equals mx plus b. Okay. So we know we want to get y all by itself, so we would take 2x away, put it on this side. Those cancel, and we're left with negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. We need to get y all by itself, so we got to get rid of this negative 3. We're going to divide that out. Those cancel, and we get y equals, we have negative 2 over negative 3, which just makes 2/3 x, plus 6 divided by negative 3, which is negative 2. So I'm just going to say minus 2. So here we should know how to graph this by now. We would take our slope, which is 2/3, and our y-intercept, which is negative 2, and we would use that to graph. So as a reminder, we would take our line, we would look at our y-intercept, which is negative 2. We'd plot that on our graph. This is our y-axis. We plot at negative 2. And then our slope tells us we go up to right 3. So there's another point. Now we could draw a line through that. Okay. So the other option, I'm going to show you this one in blue. Your other option is that you could find the intercepts. So this is like when we found the x-intercept and the y-intercept. And these happen when the opposite equals 0. So an x-intercept, so that's whenever it hits this axis, happens when the y value is 0. So this is y equals 0. And then your y-intercept happens when x equals 0. Okay, so that's what happens whenever you can find these things. So we would be able to take our equation and plug these values in, y equals 0 and x equals 0, to find those intercepts. So in order to find our x-intercept, okay, I'm going to make y equal 0. So I'd have 2x minus 3y, so instead of y I have 0, equals 6. I'd have 2x minus 0 equals 6 divided by 2, and I'd get x equals 3. So that's my x-intercept, is that x equals 3. You can make that a point 3, 0, where our x value is 3, our y value is 0. Okay, I'm going to move over. So for my y-intercept, I do the same thing except now x is 0. So I have 2 times x, which is 0, minus 3y equals 6. I'm left with negative 3y equals 6 because this 2 times 0 is 0. Divide by negative 3, and I get y is equal to negative 2. That point 0 is my x, negative 2 is my y. So there's a point. Now if I have 2 points, I can graph those. So if we look over at our graph, we should get the same line. So our x-intercept is at 3. So here's my x-axis, and it's at 3. And then my y-intercept is at negative 2. So if we look here, that's at negative 2. And we could draw our line. So do you see how that ends up being the same line? So you have two options. You could find your slope-intercept form, or you could find intercepts. The next part, write equations in standard form. So this one, you guys, this is what we did yesterday. This one is in slope-intercept form. We want to get it into that standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. So we want x and y on the same side. So right now we have y over here, but x is on the other side. So I'm going to take this and add 1/2 x to this side. So I get 1/2 x plus y equals 5. Okay, because those canceled. Now remember, we cannot have fractions. Okay, we cannot have fractions. So how are we going to get rid of this fraction? Well, remember, we multiply by the denominator. And this is what we did yesterday. I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 2, by that denominator. Well, 1/2 times 2, that's just 1. So those 2's cancel out, and we get 1x. So I'm just going to leave x plus 2 times y equals 2 times 5, which is 10. So your final answer is x plus y equals 10. So now, if they give you a graph, they give you the graph, then could you write it in standard form? Yes, absolutely could. So I want you to ask yourself, do A, B, and C mean anything? Do they mean anything in terms of the problem? Well, no, they don't. They don't really mean anything until you put them in y equals mx plus b, or slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, because we know that the m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept, or the point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, because we know that the slope is m, and then we have a point, x1, y1, so that means something. But A, B, and C don't mean anything. Well, let's look at this graph. Is it going to be easier to do y equals mx plus b or point slope? Well, looking at this, we would need a y-intercept for y equals mx plus b, and it doesn't hit y until somewhere up here. So I am not going to use this because there's no y-intercept on the graph. We'd have to kind of guess. So I'm going to use our point slope form. So oh, I'm so sorry. I had a little announcement that I had to pause for. So here we know that we need our slope and we need a point. Well, we could find our slope from our graph, and then we have 2 points that we could work with. Okay, so let's find our slope. So we have a point here, and it looks like we have one right here. So we need to just find rise over run. So to get from here to here, I need to go down to left 1, down to left 1. So my slope ends up being down to left 1, which is just -2. And then I'm going to use the point. I'm going to use 2, 4. You could use 6, -4. That would be totally fine, but I'm going to use 2, 4. So let's build my equation. This is my x1, y1. So I'd have y minus my y1, which is 4, equals my slope, which is -2, times x minus my x1, which is 2. So there is an equation. Now, they want it in standard form. So I'm going to take this and now convert to standard. So I'm going to take that and I need to put it into standard. So y minus 4 equals -2 times x minus 2. I need to get it into ax plus by equals c. So I need to distribute. So I have y minus 4 equals -2x, and then -2 times -2 is plus 4. I want to get my y and my x on the same side, and then I want to get my numbers on the same side. So I'm going to get x over here. So I have 2x plus y minus 4 equals 4 because those canceled. I want to get my 4's out of the way. Okay, so then I have 2x plus y equals, those canceled, 8. So there is my final answer. Okay. Whoa. All right, so for this one, we want to find the missing coefficient in the equation. So if we look at this, we have this equation that they gave us. So we have ax plus 3y equals 2. They want us to find find the coefficient, which is a. Well, they also give us this point. So we have -1, 0. Well, that is an x, y coordinate. Now, if we had x and y, couldn't we solve for a? Absolutely we could. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to plug it in. If we have x, which is -1, and we have y, which is 0, excuse the bell, a times -1 is -1a, plus 3 times 0, that cancels, equals 2. We want to get a all by itself, so we're going to divide by -1, and that gives us -2 for a. So when we rewrite this equation, we're going to have -2 for a. So instead of ax, now we have -2x plus 3y equals 2. Now this is almost in standard form, but we have this negative that we need to get rid of. So we need to get rid of the negative. And what we do there is we just flip all the signs. So instead of -2x, I have 2x. Instead of plus 3y, I have minus 3y. Instead of positive 2, I have -2. There's my answer. All right, multi-step problem. So your class is taking a trip to the public library. You can travel in either small vans or large vans. Okay, small holds 8 people. So small, 8 people. And then a large holds 12 people. Okay, your class could fill this many small vans and large vans. So 15 small, 2 large. So let's figure out how many people there are. Okay, so 15 small, so 15 times 8, plus 2 of our large vans. Okay, if we multiply that out, you get 144 people. Okay, that's going to be important. So we know how many we can fit in each van and how many people. We want to write an equation. So I'm going to come down here. It says write an equation in standard form that models the combinations of small and large vans. So we know our class is 144, and we know that there are 8 people per small van and 12 people per large van, and that's 144 people total. Okay. B asks us to graph. Well, the only way we can graph this is if we get into y equals mx plus b. We're treating this as our x and this is our y. Okay, so we need to get our x over. So we're going to take 8s away. And we get 12L equals -8s plus 144. Divide by 12. We get L equals -8 over 12 is -3/4 s plus 144 divided by 12, which is 12. Okay, so here's my equation. My m is -3/4. My b is 12. I'm going to come down here and graph it. Okay, so my b is 12. I'm going to go to my y-intercept and hit 12. And then I'm going down 3, right 4. Down 3, right 4. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do my very best to be super precise. Okay. C asks us for combinations. You're just going to use your coordinates. So here's a coordinate. We have, we know our x was our small and y was our large. So this would be 0 small, 12 large. This one would be 4, 9. Use the coordinates. Okay. So some combination. 0 small, 12 large. 4 small, 9 large. This coordinate would be 8, 6. 8 small, 6 large, and so on.